Where do I start? I guess I start off with talking about life modelling, because that is where my modelling journey started, because I'd been teaching yoga and I wanted a bit of a sideline, and I'd been going around places to hold classes, and I discovered that there were life classes, and at that particular point I was familiar with how life drawing worked, and my family, they were artists or are artists still, and so I was very familiar with life drawing and I didn't think it was weird. So I started doing that. Having done the yoga, I was pretty good because I can hold still and I can get into different positions. It was some way into being a life model, came out as being transgender, and that was something I was very nervous about, because I thought that it would probably have a negative effect on what I was doing, and I was quite worried about people's reactions. I felt like people would react to me badly, they wouldn't find me attractive. But with the life modelling, I quickly realised that it wasn't going to affect that, because a lot of the time my gender didn't really come into it. People were more interested in how long I could hold poses and poses I could get into. Eventually I was introduced to photographic modelling because I'd been introduced to a new class. It was said by the particular person who taught the class that there was a photographer who was coming round and photographing life models. I hadn't posed for photos like that before, and it was a particular project about life models, and so that was the first sort of photo shoot of that nature that I was actually involved in. It was then that I realised the real sort of difference between life modelling and photography is that you can move when you're being photographed. It may seem obvious now, but when I was posing for this shoot, I'd very automatically just get into a position and stick into it very still, because I've been training myself up to that point to hold still for very extended periods of time, and actually being able to move was very different, and actually being told, oh, you can move. I quickly noticed that I could emote, I could pull different faces, I could pull different shapes, you can even jump into the air, which is quite a contrast from holding really still. And one of the things that fascinated me was you can really emote and do things with your face. And for times that I've posed for portrait, it's mostly been life drawing, but the times I've posed for portrait, you just need to sit really still, keep your face still and relax, and basically stare straight ahead, for which you can't get those sort of emotions in. Whereas with posing for photography, you can take a deep breath and really kind of pull a face. At that point I was interested in photography but didn't really know how to start. So I ended up talking to somebody on a modelling website because she was looking to get into life drawing and I was looking at photography, and we exchanged how we did that and how we booked that. The photographic modelling took off really very much after lockdown, where I expect that a lot of photographers really wanted to get out and do things after being cooped up for so long. And I guess it was that particular time right after lockdown was quite exciting for me as well, travelling to different places, having photos taken, and my life drawing got back to normal after lockdown. I think that the two things went together rather well. This is the interesting thing, that at that point I'd started hormone replacement therapy and my body was changing, and it was changing. For most of the time I've been having the photos taken. I'd been quite shy up until that point about having artistic photos taken, because it seems like quite a different thing from being drawn. The way people look at photos does seem to be different than the way that people look at drawings. But I did become more and more comfortable with my body and the way it looked, and mostly the way it really felt.